Hi, this is Christine with Where's Watson. I'm very pleased today to be joined by Doug Darling, the president and CEO of Tripwire Media Agency. Doug is also a graduate of Red River College from 2006 in the Creative Communications program, and as it was called at the time, broadcast production. I'm very pleased to be joined by Doug because I've been watching his videos from Tripwire from his home with his children all the way through the pandemic. And not only have I benefited from his tips and tricks, but I've also been fascinated by his storytelling and how he's really led Tripwire through the pandemic, including how they're giving back to the business community now. So welcome, Doug. Thank you very much for joining me. And maybe we can start by telling your Red River College story.
Sure. Thank you for having me. This is really exciting. It's really, I love to talk about Red River in general. I'm a pretty big advocate for it. So are my parents because of how I've resulted from it. But yeah, I can tell you my story. My story is the success of my life. What there is of it is very rooted all in my time at Red River. Prior to going to Red River, I was a musician, a touring musician. That was not doing so great at it, beyond even if I was, I started to realize actually after meeting some bands who had, made it, quote unquote, getting signed and stuff like that, that it was just such a crazy uphill battle, especially in Canada. And I realized the percentage of success was so minimal that I felt that there was no security in what I was going to do. And obviously my passion wasn't strong enough to really lie in just doing music. And so I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in limbo. I was just working as a server at a restaurant for a while. I think my parents were pretty frustrated at it, and they knew that I wanted to do something, but they didn't really know how to help. And my dad actually took me to a place to do an aptitude test at one point. Like I agreed to go, and it was just like this idea of like, well, maybe we can find out what I'm good at through these guys. And I did out this big long quiz, and we got the results a couple of weeks later. They called my dad and they said, Bob doesn't really think he's good at anything. And I was like, oh man, like that was such a shot, and really kind of left me in the dark because I thought I was going to get some answers from it. What it really was just hardly an aptitude test, probably more. It was just find the things that you like and are passionate about, and then they give you some ideas. But I didn't think I was good at anything. I was just at a low point. And so actually it was my mom. So my mom went, what do you like to do? I said, I want to be creative. I want to stay creative. And I want to be, I like working with people. I like being with people. She actually took it upon herself because I wasn't doing much to do a little research. She heard of creative communications at Red River, and she's like, maybe this is for you. And I kind of looked, I'm like, well, I don't want to really be a journalist or a PR, but there's copywriting in here, and there's, you know what, let's just try it out. It actually hadn't really I wasn't like, yes, that's it. But I was like, I have nothing else to do. I'm going to apply. I got on the waiting list, and then kind of passively went into the course because I knew I needed to do something. I'd already flunked out of college 4 years prior, so I was 24 at this time, and I was 20 when I flunked out of U of W because I just wasn't into it. I wasn't finding the thing that drove me, and so I was really worried about going into Red River. But immediately, I think I was at a new level where it felt good to be productive again. It felt good to learn again. And the way that it was a very hands-on kind of environment, and that everyone also in that environment were kind of like grouped. Our Crecom group there's three classes, about 75 people. You made friendships very, very quickly. It was kind of reminded me of the first day of homeroom school, in grade 7, where everyone is vulnerable. Everyone is walking in not really knowing anyone. There's no cliques or groups and stuff. So you start to really create your own life there. And very quickly, I started to do the best that I could. I started working as hard as I could. And I really, really enjoyed it. I just felt I had purpose again. But I still didn't really know where I was heading. And so then in first year, I get to do a project, which is a 3-minute video, a montage. And I was very interested that we were starting to learn how to operate a camera. I was learning editing software, and this was really our first project. And so, I went and shot it, and actually shot it with the subject or the character in the video was actually who is my wife and mother of my 2 children. And this is probably subconsciously my way of kind of starting to profess my love for her, where I basically was going to make something that was kind of it was supposed to be tongue in cheek, but actually I was going to make something artsy, but being tongue in cheek, and it actually just became very artsy and very special to me. And I used I edited it to a song by from the soundtrack Amelie by Jan Tiersen. Anyways, I'm getting into too much detail, but what it allowed me to find was that actually video and film was really the culmination of art for me. I was able to use music, I was able to use visuals, I was able to use graphics, I was able to tell a story. It really felt it was just the culmination of everything for me. And so I would just basically, I went out and shot more, and then I shot more, and I just stayed in the edit suite learning how certain things worked. And I made kind of a technical piece that I was very, very proud of. And I found my kind of my new passion. This is definitely what I wanted to do, is my new form of making music. And so I still at that point though wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Almost went into PR, and a couple of actually I remember specifically Ford Oliver cornering me and basically strongly suggesting that I should go into broadcast production. And kind of the rest is history from there. I had a really great second year. I really got to learn After Effects and still actually hone my crafts in advertising, journalism, radio, and PR. So it allowed me to be very well rounded, and I absolutely accredit that to actually how I was able to start my company. But what it did for me and how it changed my work ethic, how I saw myself, how I thought of myself, and the pride that I had in myself. It all came down to Red River and the experience I had in those 2 years, to the point I didn't want to leave. And boy, were my parents happy. I believe my parents have both donated money there, and my dad or my mom actually, I think, accosted one of my instructors to thank them for turning my life around, basically.
What a beautiful story! Not only in terms of how you grew into yourself as a learner again, and many of our students are older students who haven't necessarily had success in previous education and come to Red River and really find that passion because it's hands-on learning and because it's immediately applicable.
Yeah.
How has that then led to the way that you've led the business through the pandemic, and that kind of well-roundedness and being able to bring that experience and your business experience, obviously, through a very difficult time? And then how did you decide to get involved with Adopt a Business?
Well, so yeah, I mean, and to your point, in my class, there was a lot of people with degrees actually coming into Crecom because they weren't able to get the skill set that they wanted to find the actual job that they wanted. And so, but yeah, I mean, fast forwarding to where I am now, I think I still lean back on the skills I learned in college, where you learn how to adapt, you learn how to think quick, and you learn how to work hard. And so when the COVID happened, my still need to help and be with people, basically, knowing my story and being able to kind of shift to where I could still provide value. Because where I'm at right now with Tripwire is I spend a lot of my time with client education and basically just helping people do better work, or we can help people with the work that we do to reach their goals. And so it really kind of all comes down to help. So then I was like, well, how can I help from afar? And I'm not someone who can give things away for free or give software or free memberships or anything. So I said, well, and I think it was actually Matt from my work, another Crecom grad, actually Matthew Dick, who he's our creative supervisor. He'd said, like, well, all those things that you're saying to people all the time, why don't you turn those into videos? I've been talking about content marketing and the effectiveness of it for a while. There's a really good book called They Ask You Answer, which is all about making vlogs and blogs and answering questions that people have and solving the problems kind of one. Doing that, I'm like, well, what are the things that people are wondering the most? And I just then started telling what I knew of those things and tried to make it authentic, tried to make it a little fun, like, bringing my kids into it. It was very real and authentic to my kids are around me all the time right now, aside from at this moment where I decided to come into the office to do this this recording. And people like that too. It wasn't stuffy. It wasn't dry. It wasn't. we try to have a little fun with it. And I think it worked. We raised engagement almost 100% on each video. It allows me to exercise my chops. It allows us to stay connected with people beyond, and continue on existing relationships and adding value there, and then building new ones as well.
Well, I really appreciate how much Red River's played an important part in not only your personal success and confidence, but also your business success. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on Where's Watson. And thank you for being an inspiration to me, because the work that you do and the storytelling you do is really important in terms of how we are also telling the story of Red River. And you're a big part of that as an alumni. So thank you so much.
Thanks. Well, it's an honor to be asked to be on this. It really changed my life, not only my career, but obviously with my family. And there isn't one more, aside from my parents, I can't think of a single organization that has done more for me in my life. I'm sure I'm actually ignoring and probably insulting a bunch of people by saying that, and I should probably think about what I say first. Having said that, Red River is very special to me. Always will be. And I advocate for it very much. And actually, I think about 75% of the people who work at Tripwire are also Red River grads.
That's wonderful. Well, take care. Take care of yourselves. And I can't wait to see the next videos.
I'll get right on it.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.